Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel and Kim, sponsored by DownloadTennis.com. On today's Tour Catch-Up,
Matteo Berrettini makes it back-to-back titles at Queen's.
Hubert Hurkacz collects his first grass court title in Halle.
And Serena Williams takes a wild card into Wimbledon.
Kim, today is the 20th of June and we are here to catch up on the week in tennis at Tennis Weekly HQ. Wimbledon is just around the corner and everything feels right in the world because, yes, we've had loads of tennis this week, but Serena Williams is going to be coming back onto a tennis court.
Somewhere near you. Hurrah. Yes, well, near us, I should say. She'll be, well, playing this time next week, potentially, on the lawns of SW19. She put up a nice post on social media to announce that. But she is in Eastbourne this week, I think, playing doubles with Ons Jabeur as a wildcard pairing beforehand. So,
Kim, I'm not bitter about it at all. I'm not bitter because I got offered a ticket to Eastbourne. And because of the rail strikes in the UK, there was no way for me to get there. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter about it at all.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's the worst rail strikes in decades, apparently. And it's, right when the tennis is on. I mean, how inconvenient.
How dare they? Do they not know I need to get to Eastbourne and to Roehampton for Wimbledon qualifying?
You are going to Roehampton tomorrow, though, but I think
that
you'll
is
have
very
to get
true.
about 5 buses, maybe.
It's going to take me 3 hours to get there, but damn it, I really want to see my round 1 Wimbledon qualifying matches with all the Brits in action. So I'm gonna force myself. I'm going to make it happen. Whether, as you said, it does take 6 buses, hitchhiking, an Uber, whatever it is, I will be there.
You will be there. Well, I look forward to hearing all about it. And it's all going on in the UK and Europe as well with the grass court tennis. So, I mean, let's begin with I guess one of the most historic tournaments that we have in the run up to Wimbledon, which is the Queen's Club Championships, or the Cinch Championships. I should say. Still haven't got over the fact that it's not Artois anymore. I mean, this has been years, but
Kim, that was a long time ago. We had the red branding, then it went blue, and now we're in this sort of purple.
And now it's
phase.
purple, which is nice because it's sort of Wimbledon-esque. But so anyway, we had the same winner as last year, Matteo Berrettini. One could say this was a very predictable champion, but he came through against, I would say, an unpredictable finalist in Filip Krajinovic, given that Krajinovic hadn't actually won a grass court match before, at least on the tour level anyway. But 7-5, 6-4, Berrettini defending his title. In fact, he's never lost a match at Queen's because on his 2 appearances, he has won 2 titles. So he goes into Wimbledon again, well, unbeaten on grass, having picked up the Stuttgart title last week. So definitely looking like someone very much to watch out for at Wimbledon, especially should a certain Mr. Djokovic, fail to perform one day. I would say that Berrettini is looking like a very possible champion.
I've got to say, I think based on what I've seen of him over the last couple of weeks, I've been surprised at how well he's been playing, given, this is straight after coming back from surgery. There's been no sort of tournament to get an eye in and building up to peaking at Wimbledon. It feels like he's been raring to go. And this week it was the same situation as Stuttgart, I felt, big serve, big forehands, and none of his opponents really had an answer to it. He had a tricky match against Dennis Kudla, lucky loser, who came in due to Andy Murray's absence in the second round. But since then, it's been straight sets victory after straight sets victory, and it was very, very impressive. I mean, I think in the final against Krajinovic, yes, I think everyone, including the spectators, were probably, and then himself probably, was surprised that Krajinovic was there, given his grass court form going into the tournament. But he just didn't really have an answer to Berrettini. He didn't really know, I felt, how to break Berrettini's serve. And I know we talk a lot about the backhand wing of Berrettini, but I felt like in the finals, particularly his slice backhand, there was some serious bite on it, and it was still quite a potent weapon. And I think everyone just assumes like the weakness of Berrettini is to hit to his backhand side, but I do think he covers it up quite well with that single-handed backhand slice. And there are a couple of lovely examples I thought of also his shot making at the net. And again, he's not a player I think you just sort of plies from the baseline and can hit forehand winners and waits for those moments. He certainly can come in and kill the point off at the net as well. So I think there's parts to his game that makes me think, is he a grass court specialist, Kim? Because I certainly think going into Wimbledon, I would even almost put him as a favourite above maybe Novak Djokovic.
Above Novak Djokovic?
Well,
I think that's going a bit far.
Do you think? I mean, we've not even seen Novak Djokovic on a grass court. I mean, he's going to be playing in Hurlingham in London, an exhibition event. But of the tennis we have seen on the grass court season so far, Berrettini, I feel, has just been in a world of his own, really.
Well, rule out Djokovic at your peril, Joel. Berrettini definitely, more versatile than I think he's given credit for. I wouldn't say he's a specialist on grass in the sense that he can't play on other surfaces, because he's reached semis at both the AO and the US Open. So we know that he can perform very, very well on all surfaces, including clay, where he's reached the quarters at Roland Garros. So, but yeah, he's certainly carving out a very reliable niche on a grass court. I think he's only lost one of his last 21 matches on grass, which would be the Wimbledon final of last year. So certainly with his last kind of 2 years worth on grass courts, he is right up there. You'd have to say, based on that form, that he is second best to Novak Djokovic. And perhaps with Djokovic, the only doubt I have about him at Wimbledon, and I won't sort of go on about this too much today because we will be doing a proper preview later in the week, but we saw at Roland Garros against Rafa, was he physically ready to do 5 sets again after not really playing an awful lot this year? I would imagine that by Wimbledon he's kind of upped his fitness, but perhaps not. Perhaps he will still be a shadow of a step slow, in which case Berrettini is certainly someone that is just waiting in the wings to potentially capitalize, and obviously doing what he needs to do in the run up to Wimbledon by getting these 2 titles under his belt and more, refining his game on a grass court, which is already very good. But just, he said going into Stuttgart he wasn't feeling particularly great. So 2 weeks on, I think, he'll be very happy with how his return to the game has gone.
Are you surprised with how well he's acclimatized back to the tour, given, we've seen other players, I think, have, go through surgery, come back onto the tour, and they've really had to take their time, I feel, finding their feet. I mean, even like Dominic Thiem at the moment has sort of acknowledged that he's got to go back to the challenger circuit just to find more match practice. And I get that, I don't feel a lot of injuries can be compared like for like, but certainly for Berrettini, 3 months off to come back into this groove, almost like he's never left. Have you been surprised by how well he's acclimatized himself, winning back-to-back trophies?
Yeah, like you said, I think every injury is different, every surgery is different, but I think, he's come back very fresh and fighting and just in control and calm. And, it would be nice if Dominic Thiem could have done the same, but obviously, his situations, he was out for a lot longer. I think Berrettini was out for 3 months, which, is still a long time, but perhaps not as long as, to truly affect him on a greater scale. But I think he'll be feeling fit and fresh, hopefully, going into the championships. And I think he's come back at the perfect time. He loves the grass court, quite evidently.
He's hungry.
And yeah, exactly. He'll be just happy to be back playing again, and I think anything will be a bonus, on top of that. So unfortunately he will lose his ranking points regardless of what he does at Wimbledon, but I'm sure that's you'd much rather obviously go deep and
he's so cool
win.
Though I don't feel like he cares.
No, I think he's just sort of like super chilled, in his Hugo Boss, like he's a very
my
popular
chains around my neck with my backward cap.
He's a very popular winner, I think, at Queen's, and he's well liked by British audiences, and
I feel like he's the housewife's favorite on the tour.
You have said this to us before, Joel. Is that something to do with the fact that he's quite pleasant to look at?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
probably shouldn't be saying that. It's probably inappropriate, but he's a nice fellow, isn't he? So I think he goes down very well at in the UK, and people will remember his run to the final last year, and I'm sure there'll be British audiences at Wimbledon will be cheering him on to go one step further. I mean, it was nice that British audiences had someone they liked to cheer for, because as you said, you alluded to earlier, Andy Murray wasn't there, had to pull out quite late on with injury, and then we didn't see many Brits go far apart from Ryan Peniston. He was our last remaining Brit, got to the quarterfinals, lost to Krajinovic in 3 sets. So given that Krajinovic went on to reach the final, I thought that was a pretty good effort from Ryan Peniston.
Yeah. I mean, that whole top half really did open up with Peniston's win against the top seed Casper Ruud in the first round. I mean, I remember, Kim, last week we were talking about why didn't Feliciano Lopez get the wild card instead of Peniston, and Peniston really justified that decision. Really good win against Ruud in 2 tie breaks, and then followed it up against Cerundolo in 3 sets, and I think he was a breakdown in that 3rd set. So playing some really, really good tennis, and he had his opportunities against Krajinovic, but wasn't to be. But a great story for him. I was reading up on his career, and he's 26 years old. He's going to be inside the top 150 this week, so it's been great for him. And he has an interesting story in the sense of he had cancer when he was a child, and he had to go through surgery and chemotherapy, and he's really kind of spoken about his situation, and just being able to kind of raise that as a platform given his success. I think he spoke about Young Lives versus Cancer as the organization that sent him a very nice message on his victories. And it's great to see him, I think realize his potential, because he's certainly been a player who's been around for a while, a little bit like Cam Norrie was on the college route into tennis, and it's great to see him thriving on the biggest stage on the ATP tour.
Yeah, and he's got a wild card into Wimbledon, so we'll have to see if he can, how well he can do there. But I mean, he's a player that I've known the name, but I've never really properly watched him, and I didn't really know a lot about him. So yeah, really nice that he's been able to share his story and hopefully raise awareness and be a bit of a role model as well for young people with cancer. Talking about what he experienced, I think when he was just 1 year old. So obviously, really positive week for Ryan Peniston. Cam Norrie and Dan Evans were out in the first round, so it was good that British audiences had someone to cheer for. I mean, Jack Draper did get a win over Taylor Fritz, which was really good, and I've just got him on actually at the moment. He's a set and a break up against Jenson Brooksby. So Jack Draper's form from this year kind of continuing. He's been racking up titles on the Challenger circuit. So
I think he's in the top 100 now. So
he is, after that win at Queen's. So really, really positive stuff from Draper. And obviously we saw him take a set off Djokovic last year at Wimbledon. So we know he loves the grass court, and he's already impressed us with what he has shown when he's been given these opportunities. So
one player in that draw, though, I was expecting more from, and it's just not working out for him on a grass court at the moment, because I think he lost today as well. Riley Opelka, I feel like with his serve, he should be doing a lot better than going out in the first round to, he lost to Alex de Minaur in Queen's, and he lost again today. Just not working out for him at the moment, for a player who you would think has, similar to Berrettini, big serve, big forehand, great mover around the the baseline. Not really working out for him at the moment.
No, I just wonder if he's quite I think of him as quite a fiery character. So unless he's sort of not quite zoned in the right way at the moment, I don't know. But yeah, he got kind of whipped by Maxime Cressy at Eastbourne today. And yeah, I was the same.
Maybe his beard's weighing him down.
Maybe he needs a shave. Who knows? Also, yeah, Francis Tiafoe got bageled in the 3rd set by Bublik today. Is another player that I like to see do well, but it isn't really doing that well at the moment. But perhaps he'll surprise us at Queen's. Now we've sort of slagged him off a bit, he'll probably pick up his ears, just like Peniston when we said he shouldn't have got that wild card. He goes on to prove us completely wrong. But I mean, yeah, so Berrettini, Lovely stuff, winning Queens for the second year in a row. But I mean, from one Wimbledon contender to perhaps another, Joel, we had Halle out in Germany as usual, and Hubert Hurkacz won this one in very impressive fashion in the final. To be honest, well, all week he was impressive, but he had to fight through some earlier rounds. But yeah, 6-1, 6-4 against Daniil Medvedev. He was at 1.6. Well, no, he was at 1.5 love up when I think I tuned in. And he was 6-1 and then a breakup. And I thought, oh, gosh, he's absolutely annihilating Daniil Medvedev. This is really impressive stuff. It's his first title on grass, his 5th career title overall. He'll be back into the top 10 this week, I think. And I mean, given the fact that he reached the semis of Wimbledon last year, he's in my top 5 for title contenders.
Yes.
Given what we've seen from him this week, for sure.
Yes, certainly another player who's, there or thereabouts at Wimbledon, and it was very impressive throughout the week, I think, for Hurkacz, because he came through Auger Aliassime in the quarters. He beat Humbert as well, who's the defending champion, in the second round, and then he had a really tight match against Nick Kyrgios in the semi-finals. And both players, you'd say, are complete, I think, opposite ends personality-wise. Kyrgios very combustible on the tennis court, whereas Hurkacz is like your sort of smooth operator, very calm, very chilled. I actually think his mental approach to the game is one of his biggest assets, along with his serve. And it was a very tight match against Kyrgios. I thought Kyrgios actually was going to nick it in that second set tiebreak, but he's another player like Berrettini, serves very, very well, moves very, very well, and he's a great volleyer and has got great feel and a great touch at the net. And Medvedev in the final again came up against someone who's playing some really inspired tennis. He's now lost back-to-back finals, losing to the Dutchman of the moment, Tim van Richthofen. I've forgotten his name already.
You've forgotten his name already. Oh. He's not obviously that important to you, Joel. Tim van Richthofen, I think.
Tim van Richthofen. There you go. But it was quite funny, Kim, because Hurkacz, he was obviously playing well because Medvedev got so angry that he shouted at his coach, and his coach walked off.
That's not the first time we've seen that happen.
And that's not the first time we've seen that happen. But I think that's I'm giving the credit there to Hurkacz in terms of how well he was playing. And yeah, I do think there was a sense that Medvedev just was not able to get his game together. But I don't think that was completely the whole story. I just think Hurkacz was, he executed his plan perfectly. And in particular, I think on the Medvedev serve, a shot I think, Medvedev would expect to get quite a few free points on, when he's, in his service games. But Hurkacz, his return game was just very, very impressive. It just felt like he was in like most points, really. And he always was having a shot at breaking Medvedev. And for me, that was the real kind of platform that he laid to go on and win the match.
Yeah, I think in the first set, Hurkacz literally returned every single serve. He didn't fail at any point. So Medvedev obviously getting very frustrated. I think statistically it was one of the worst serving performances in terms of points won off the first serve. But yeah, I mean, Hubert Hurkacz was just a bit of a beast when I saw him. He was just getting everything back and like really, really good performance. And I just hope he keeps it up because, he did so well last year at Wimbledon. Obviously, perfect game for grass, really. Big serve himself. So
it's funny how Medvedev is getting to these finals, but he's developing this issue. I don't think he's had a great record in finals this season. I mean, he's lost his last 2. I think there's been a few more as well.
Australian Open.
Yeah, I was going to say like the Australian Open final. But yeah, do you think there's a worry there in terms of why he's not being able to bring his best game onto the biggest stage?
Maybe, I mean, when you play up against someone who's obviously returning like a demon, like Hurkacz was, I suppose it's very hard to combat. But I mean, especially last week, that was very surprising given, Tim van Richthofen as a wild card and so lowly ranked. I mean, yeah, if it keeps happening, I mean, if he gets to the Mallorca final this week and loses, then he would be worried that he hasn't been able to do it in a single, championship match. Because you want to, when push comes to shove, you want to, assert yourself. We know he can do it. He's won a Grand Slam, but yeah, perhaps it's I don't know, a lack of preparedness, or just, him losing the plot slightly when he goes to set down and thinking,
what did you make of that? Because he got really angry and his coach walked off. I think I watched a clip of it. There was some unsavory comments made by the coach as he walked off. And it was not great to see. Something we have seen before, but like, what's your take on that? Do you like to see that, or do you think he's his coach? Like, he should be there through thick and thin? No.
Yeah, I don't think doesn't seem like the most supportive of coaching player relationships. One player's shouting, Medvedev's shouting at him, and then he's walking out, and perhaps he knows that if he was to stay watching, it would just anger Medvedev up more. I don't know. I'm not privy to their ins and outs, but I don't know. Maybe I don't think anger is really the way I would want to work. Anger and aggression and sort of dispute and conflict, but perhaps it's all a bit for show.
It's a real love-hate relationship.
We know how volatile, Medvedev can be on a tennis court, so we've kind of become used to it. It doesn't look very good for the sport, particularly. It's not really inspiring confidence. But perhaps down the line we might see a change in this relationship.
And Kim, one other thing that's not good for the sport that happened in that final, we had another protester just seemingly walk on, try and tie themselves to the net. They didn't get as far as when it happened at the French Open, but again, it just was not the best look for Halle. It just felt like there was 2 security guards there on site, and it was a bit. I mean, it was a bit more comical, if I'm being quite honest. But again, it's just something that just should not be happening. And I was a bit surprised by how few security they had there. I don't know if they were sort of resting on their laurels a bit, like they just assume all the crowd would just stay in their place and that's that. But it felt quite open, and it was a bit silly, I think, to see another person just sort of run onto the court and do another, I think it was another environmental protest.
Yeah, obviously maybe inspired by the one at, what was it, Roland Garros semi-finals, I think, wasn't it? Men's semis. Yeah, I mean, we're going to perhaps see more and more of these sort of lone incidents. Let's hope not. I mean, hopefully tournament security, each venue will be considering these. If people are kind of going to be doing copycat ones, I don't know. But I think it needs to be, well, obviously security should always really be as strict as possible, given we've seen incidents in the past. But slightly worrying scenes, definitely, in that regard. And then going back to the tennis, Joel, worrying players for Wimbledon. Nick Kyrgios, as you said, doing very well, reaching the semis here.
It's going to be unseeded.
Yeah, he's not going to be seeded at Wimbledon. Oscar Otter also has made 2 semis on grass in the last 2 weeks. He won't be seeded, and he's not someone you'd want to play in the first round if you're a higher ranked opponent. So we saw him against, Andy Murray last year, that infamous second round match. So he obviously loves the grass court and just sort of rocks up to play well on grass.
Is he the new Dustin Brown? I kept thinking about this when I was watching his semi-final against Medvedev, because he just seems, I feel, to me anyway, he's a guy who I just associate with the grass court season, and his game is very, very well suited to the grass courts, and a player who, he was so close to that upset against Andy Murray at Wimbledon last year, wasn't able to quite get it done, but he's another player who, I would be looking at in the draw if I'm a seeded player, thinking, oh, I really hope I don't get Oscar Otter near me, because another player who on his day can cause quite a few problems. And, he came through Karen Khachanov and Basilashvili as well, and also Kekmanovic in the first round. So, I think he's quite a dangerous character to come across if you're at Wimbledon.
Yeah, definitely one to watch out for. And I love also just looking at the draw. There was a bloke from Germany, a wild card called Henry Squire, which I just think sounds like he should be in some kind of, I don't know, English, like
period drama.
Yes.
Yes. I can
Henry
see it now.
Squire.
I see it now. But I mean, it wasn't great though. I mean, Kim, it wasn't great though for Stefanos Tsitsipas.
No.
I mean, we spoke about Casper Ruud, top seed at Queen's, going out in the first round. Stefanos Tsitsipas, who is also, like Ruud, going to be in the top 4 seeds at Wimbledon. He went out to Nick Kyrgios in the second round. I mean, I'm looking at the seeds for Wimbledon, Kim, for the men particularly, and I'm thinking Ruud and Tsitsipas on the form they're in at the moment. I would be amazed if both of them get to week 2.
I mean, how far outside of the seedings is Kyrgios? Because in the past they've sort of done their funny "we'll just amend the seeding" thing, which I don't think they really do anymore. But if he was just, I think he's too low down. But if he was literally just on the cusp, if I was Wimbledon, I would bump him up to be a seed. But I don't think that's obviously going to happen. I just hope he avoids Rafa. Anyone else is welcome to him, but I don't particularly want him to face Rafa in the first round. That would just be a nightmare. But yeah, he's definitely, everyone will be looking to see where he is in the draw. I mean, let's have a look at the ladies' action from the last week as well, because unfortunately 2 very disappointing finals from both of the tournaments in Berlin and Birmingham, both ending on a retirement, which, we do tend to see a bit more, the weeks leading up to Grand Slams. People are extra cautious. They obviously want to be there at the slam competing. But in this case, we did get a set, at least, in Berlin. Ons Jabeur won because Belinda Bencic retired 2-1 down in the second set after dropping the first set 6-3. At the end of the first set, she basically did her ankle in, got an ankle injury. And at the end, when she did finally call it a day, I know they were going to get her a bucket of ice to put it in immediately. So obviously very unfortunate circumstances to end the week on. But Ons Jabeur is the champion. She now comes over to Eastbourne to play here. But it's her second grass court title because she won Birmingham, I think, last year. Her second title of the season. And, she's obviously been doing very, very well lately, picking up a few titles and getting to finals. Whether that's going to be, that form is going to be carried through into Wimbledon, I'm not sure. But obviously a good positive week generally on the grass for Jabeur fans.
Yeah, because, I mean, she's up to, I think, world number 3. And it was like we were in like a copycat situation in terms of the French Open and the build-up. She, was playing very, very well. So won that title in Madrid, and then went out in the first round. At the French Open, and I think it's great to see her bounce back. I think I like to think of Ons Jabeur as a player who doesn't get fazed by adversity. I think she actually revels in it, and even though she had moments where she might have a surprise defeat, it's great to see her bounce back in this way. And this was her first tournament post French Open, and I think it was only her second ever tournament as the top seed. And again, she had to come through some very stiff competition. She had Karolina Muchova in the first round, and then she had Coco Gauff as well in the semi-final. Gauff would have been extra motivated for that match because I think she had won. She would have been in the top 10 for the first time. But Ons Jabeur doing very, very well. But I think she will be looking at Wimbledon thinking, I don't want this to end in another first round defeat like it did at the French Open, because she's on some real momentum at the moment and she want to continue that through. But it didn't quite work out for her in the clay season, but hopefully it can do so on the grass. And this was a great tournament for her. And Kim, excitingly for her, she gets to play doubles with Serena Williams.
I know, what a treat. What a treat. I mean,
going over to Eastbourne just to play the doubles. I mean, she's taken herself out of the singles. That's the Serena Williams effect, isn't it?
Well, it's probably the only time in her career that this opportunity is going to present itself, given the fact that Serena's likely to retire soon and, they haven't played before. So, I mean, and also, she's had obviously a solid week here, doesn't want to overdo it, perhaps learning from the Roland Garros experience. Perhaps she was a bit burnt out and couldn't give it her all in that first round. So I think it's a sensible move.
And I think with Bencic as well, I think she talked about how, she had come through 4 3-set matches.
A lot of tennis.
She said, I think she said her legs were a bit tired. And as a result, that was one of the contributing factors for her legs giving way for that rolled ankle. I mean, she looked like she was, yes, she was crying in the moment, but I think she was smiles by the end. So I'm hoping she will be fit and ready for Wimbledon, because she's another player who, again, played some very good tennis in that week, particularly that semi-final against Sakkari was a real tense affair, really tight affair. But I think she got a lot of tennis in, perhaps arguably a bit too much. But yeah, Jabeur was ultimately the winner.
Scoreline of the week got to go to Pliskova and Kanepi first round. So Kanepi won the first set on a tie break, and then Pliskova double bageled her 6-love, 6-love to win the match. So I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, it was amusing when I saw that on the live scores app.
I think Pliskova hit 17 aces in that match, and I think Berlin was easily her best tournament this year. She got to the quarterfinals. She got to the Wimbledon final last year, so I think she'll be a bit relieved that she's actually shown some form this season. Because I know she was the fourth seed going into here, but even for her to get to the quarterfinals, I think that's a good week for her. So I think she'll be happy going in the right direction with Wimbledon, given what happened last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, bet she wished she'd served 17 aces in that Wimbledon final. But no, I mean, she obviously did do extremely well at Wimbledon last year, and I think it's easy to forget that. And so perhaps, one to watch again going into the championships next week, even just missing out this year's one, bypassing it. We also had Birmingham, which, as I alluded to, also a retirement in the final. We didn't even get a set of tennis in this one, but caveat there, due to the rain on the Saturday, they did play both semi-finals on the Sunday. So I guess spectators had already had a fair bit of tennis before this disappointing final. But yeah, we had a Beatriz Haddad Maia versus Zhang Shui final, and that ended after 9 games, 5-4 up. Haddad Maia was when Zhang retired. So I think it was a neck injury or back neck injury, which meant that she had to retire, which was a bit of a shame because she did actually go 2-love up and had chances to go 3-love up in the final, did Zhang. But Haddad Maia broke back, and then obviously it was not long after that Zhang retired. They are actually, I think, good friends. They played and won the Nottingham doubles title the week before, so obviously they know each other pretty well, and it was all hunky dory at the net. But yeah, Haddad Maia hasn't lost a match on grass this year. She's 10-0. She 2 titles on the trot. Is she a new grass court specialist? I mean, she's going to be. I think she's now going to be seeded.
She the new Alison Risk? Is she the new Alison Risk? Yeah, no, she's been playing some great tennis. I mean, that semi-final against Simona Halep. Simona Halep did not play a bad match in that semi-final, but Haddad Maia's just, I think she's just very confident. She's very assured. She's very accurate with her ground strokes, and it's been really, really impressive. And she's gone from, I think, around 50 in the world to a seeding at Wimbledon. And, I think she's just been playing very, very well. I think in that match against Halep, I think Halep maybe was a little bit surprised by the aggression that Haddad Maia played with. Felt like Halep was a lot of the times on the back foot in the points, and it was more kind of counter punching and counter attacking. But yeah, Haddad Maia, the level of aggression she showed, I think, is one of the reasons she's been able to win a lot of matches over the last couple of weeks. And when you kind of combine that with the accuracy she's been playing with, it's led to some really devastating victories. I mean, she beat Georgie as well in the quarterfinals, and then came through Kvitova as well in the first round. So it just shows that she's not afraid to go toe to toe with these sorts of players, and more or less she's coming out on top.
Yeah, no, really fantastic and totally unexpected. And I think having a seeding at Wimbledon is very well deserved, because otherwise she would have been, definitely a danger woman to have potentially for a top seed in the draw. But I mean, again, this is where it's the seeding especially on the women's side, perhaps also in the men's side at the moment. It's not really reflective of reality. If they did it based on current form, they would all look completely different, which obviously they can't, and they don't do it like that. But she would be right up there on current form. And like you said, Halep, great week overall, just missed out really. Otherwise I think I would have been obviously looking for her to be the champion, and also Castella as well. Like, great week for her getting to the semis. Katie Boulter didn't do too badly either. You know, she lost out to Hallett, but
first quarterfinal in
decent
first
showing.
quarterfinal at WTA tour level, and she beat Caroline Garcia, Kim.
I know, straight sets as well.
I mean, it wasn't such a good week for the top seed, Yelena Ostapenko, who I think is no more from this tournament from what she said post-match against Rebecca Marino, Kim. She said, "My level today was way better than her, and I showed it." I mean, what lovely language and what lovely comments to talk about your opponent. Did the spectators love it? No, they did not.
I mean, it's not exactly a comment that sort of showers you with humility.
Straight out of the Ostapenko playbook of post-match ceremonies.
Yeah, she then went and lost to Yastremska, but she did win the doubles title. But that was partly because Zhang, pulled out of the doubles final with Mertens. So Ostapenko and Ludmila Kichenok won that title. But yeah, lots of retirements going on the women's side. Unfortunately, in the finals as well, which is not what we want to see. But you can't help it, I suppose, if you have a sudden injury that comes on and you want to save yourself for Wimbledon, especially Zhang. She's a top doubles player, so she's obviously got to think about multiple draws coming up as well. But let's take a quick break now. Do join us in the second half, where we'll be talking about Serena Williams taking a wild card into Wimbledon, the USTA announcing that Russians will be allowed to compete at the US Open, and also looking at the final grass court events before the big championship starting next week. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Tennis Weekly with Joel and Kim, sponsored by downloadtennis.com. And let's move on to, I think, Joel, we should have a mysterious player, which we haven't had in a while. And I think the person that I've thought of came into my mind because they're, for me, quite synonymous with Wimbledon, which is just around the corner. And I always remember watching them. Well, not always, but the odd occasion, watching them at Wimbledon when I was a wee girl growing up. Oh. So maybe that's.
So it's not Alison Riske.
It's not Alison Riske.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to put that out there. Okay.
Okay, right. Let's give it a go. So yourself and the listeners can play along, and we'll see how you get on. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. I was born on the 23rd of July, 1981.
Okay, 81, so 91, 01, 11, so it'd be like 40 odd. So you grew up with them playing. Anna Ivanovic. Actually,
she's not 40.
She will be offended that I've just said that she's 41 years old.
Yeah, I think she might be a little bit. It's not Anna Ivanovic. Okay. My career high singles ranking was number 13 in the world, which I reached in July 2006.
2006. Career high 13. I'm gonna say Fernando Gonzalez.
He's surely been higher than 13. But yes, no, it's not Fernando Gonzalez. Surely he was a top 5 player at one point.
Yeah, he probably was. Anyway. Do you know what? I was panicking and I was like, I need to give an answer. And I was like, I'll think of everyone's favorite Chilean.
I have won 2 career singles titles on the ATP tour.
Okay.
So it's a bloke.
God, 2006, career high 13. Maybe they're French player, because I feel like there were lots of French players at that time, but they didn't necessarily break the top 10. Nicholas Kiefer.
Good shout, but no, it's not Nicholas Kiefer. Okay, right. Next clue. I reached 3 quarterfinals at Grand Slam events. So the Australian Open in 2008, Wimbledon in 2006, and the US Open in 2005.
Can you just repeat that
Yeah.
again?
So 3 Grand Slam quarterfinals are my best showing. Quarterfinal of the Australian Open in 2008, Wimbledon in 2006, and the US Open in 2005.
Mikhail Yuzhny?
Incorrect. But that's actually a decent shout, because I think he may very well have got to one of those quarters as well in the same year, but it's not him.
I feel like I'm getting closer.
Yeah, I think the next few clues.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, you probably won't get it from this, but the ones after that are much easier. I am notable for winning the shortest recorded Masters level tennis match in Open era history, defeating Bernard Tomic in just 28 minutes.
I know this, Kim.
Oh, you do know?
know this. I do know this. I feel like this match goes down long in infamy.
I wouldn't have known like who the opponent was. I could have guessed Tomic as like who lost the match, but
is it Jarkko Nieminen?
It is, yes. My next clues were going to be like, you know, I'm the only person from my country to have won a ATP singles title. My wife is a top-ranked badminton player in Finland, blah, blah, blah. So plenty of other clues I could have given. But yeah, well, that's impressive knowledge, Joel, because I wouldn't have remembered that he was the one that beat Tomic in that match. So good knowledge.
Did he play Nadal at Wimbledon? Did he lose someone in 5 sets like a Federer or a Nadal? Or
well, he lost to the match I remember was against Tim Henman at Wimbledon. I think they had quite a close match, a 5-setter with Tim Henman, I think.
Okay.
I believe. You might be confusing him with Robin Soderling when he had that annoying match over like 5 days because of all the rain with Rafa in 2007.
Yes, probably.
But also, this is on Jarkko Nieminen's Wikipedia. Apparently, he came out of retirement in 2016 to play for his country at Davis Cup against Zimbabwe, and he won with a triple bagel. It doesn't say against who, but obviously it was 6-love, 6-love, 6-love. So I think that's quite a. Maybe he was thinking, "Oh, I should stay out of retirement if I'm winning this easily."
Okay, well, let's move on. Let's move on, Kim, to passing shot mailbag time. Steve got in touch with us on email and he asked us this question. With defending Wimbledon champion Ash Barty retired and absent from this year's event, who should take her place and open play for the women on opening Tuesday?
Oh, great question, Steve. Do you know, I don't know what the actual protocol is. Is it usually
forget protocol, Kim? I want your answer.
Wimbledon's all about protocol, Joel. You can't just rock up
we've got to break the rules.
Outfits. Well, is it not perhaps normally the current world number 1? Perhaps.
Oh, okay.
So Swiatek, or it could be, yeah. I mean, Simona Halep would be a nice, nice suggestion because she wasn't able to open up after winning it in 2019. Some people might argue that Serena, just because she's Serena, should do it, but I don't think that that's appropriate personally in this situation. And then this is for Tuesday, isn't it? It's always the women on Tuesday opening up. Maybe Pliskova from last year as the finalist. What would you go for? Who would you go for?
As tempting as it is right now to say Serena Williams, I do think that wouldn't be very fair on someone like Simona Halep, who is a previous champion and didn't get that opportunity because of the pandemic and the championships not being played. So I think that would be a very nice gesture, and I think it would be warranted given she just didn't have that opportunity. So, I think I would be leaning towards, Simona Halep. I think I wouldn't have any issues, I think, if Serena Williams was offered it, but, you know, she's got a wild card. I feel like it would be a bit sideshow, a bit more pantomime-y, I think, if they then went and said, and she's going to play the first match. on the opening Tuesday. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, she's not played in over 12 months. So I would go Simona Halep as the previous champion before Ash Barty.
Yeah, I would go for that or Swiatek, because I think that's maybe what they've done before is do the world number one, because I'm sure this has happened before where the winner couldn't open up, and I think it might have gone to the world number one. But I guess it might depend also on the draw, who's got possibly the most exciting match out of the two of them, who's playing on what day. So we'll see. It might be a nice surprise, but whoever is given the honor, I hope they enjoy it. But yeah, thank you, Steve, for getting in touch. Listeners, if you've got any other questions for us here at Tennis Weekly, do let us know on social media or dropping us an email, because we love to always answer your very interesting questions. Sometimes we get some ones that I just can't think of an answer to off the top of my head. I have to really give it some thought. But talking about Serena being back at Wimbledon, she did announce this past week that she will be at Wimbledon. Hasn't played since she retired in the first round last year. I was trying to think actually when it was the last time she played, and now I do remember she had that sort of, was it an ankle thing? She sort of twisted it, and it was not a pleasant sight. So it's been a year since she's been out, but I had no expectations, I think, personally, for what she can do. I don't know how much she's been training in the run up to this, but she obviously feels ready to go onto a court again. And we'll see her in Eastbourne with Jabeur prior to that. Don't think Venus is going to be there. But I mean, what are you expecting from Serena? Do you think she can get a couple of wins under her belt? I mean, that's feasible. Depends on the draw, I suppose.
Exactly. I mean, I think it'll be a lot clearer once, I think, first of all, we've seen her in action in Eastbourne, just to see where her level is at. Yes, she's playing on a doubles court, but just to see her back out there, I think we'll get an idea of where her game is. And I don't think it's not going to be easy. And certainly as a wild card, she could come up against Iga Swiatek in the first round. Who knows? But I think I'd like to think that, given her prowess at this event, given how much she loves playing on a grass court, I certainly hope that we can see hopefully just at least one more victory there, because the last time she was there, it was a painful sight to see. She slipped on the court. There were cries of anguish. She went off, and it just didn't feel like the way you wanted Serena Williams, legend of the game, to exit the tournament, even potentially exit her career. So to see her just come back on, and stepping out what I would assume to be onto centre court is, going to be great. I think the tournament also needs it. We're not going to have some personalities there because of retirement like Ash Barty, but also because Russians and Belarusians won't be there, like Medvedev and Azarenka. Federer obviously not there, Dominic Thiem. So I'm actually quite glad from that perspective, as a fan favorite. It's great to see Serena back. But I don't think we're talking about this in the sense of Serena Williams. This is going to be her moment to break Margaret Court's all-time record for Grand Slam singles victories. I don't think it's like that. I think this is more, I'd like to think it's probably more of a one-off. I'd be curious to see what the American hard court season has in store for her, and whether she goes on and plays the US Open. But she's certainly going to need to be relying on wildcards to get them in. And yes, she will probably be granted those, but it doesn't feel like a sustainable strategy in the long term. You just got to look at Andy Murray, who's taken them, got his ranking back up, and then hopefully won't need them anymore going forward. But for Serena, I feel like it's just a nice moment for her to just get back and almost, I think, make peace with centre court, given what happened last time.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe it's just wanting to right some wrongs. Not that it was a wrong, but it was obviously like a nasty experience. So wishing her all the best. Other Wimbledon news, really exciting Invitational Legends tournament, or the doubles. We have, obviously past champions and past players coming back. There's some really exciting pairings. And actually I'm kind of annoyed I'm not planning to go in the second week, because one of my favorites, Joel, is is playing in the invitational doubles. Freddie Nilsson is back with Johnny Marais, reliving their glory of 10
I
years
know.
ago. I mean, this is great for like second week action. They're normally, you know, out on the sort of court 18 or something, and you can sort of get in, and it's, you know, easier to get in. And I would love to go and see them play. Maybe I will be able to, but yeah, I mean, Laura Robson as well is playing with Hantakova.
Kim, it doesn't feel fair. The Bryan brothers are also going to be playing
Oh yeah,
the invitational doubles. Like
There's
that
still-
just doesn't look. That doesn't. I still
They're
feel like
still
they
quite
could come back onto the tour.
they're quite fresh, aren't they? Still, I mean, Tommy Haas as well. You've got Bagdatis. I mean, even Xavier Malisse and like Gilles Muller, they've only just retired. I swear, like it's not the sort of invitational doubles of old, is it? With the older generation. So yeah, really good stuff. Jankovic is playing with Radvanska in the women's one. Panetta and Schiavone. Really good stuff.
Does this actually mean Radvanska is coming back to the tour? I feel like it's like the
Maybe.
eternal rumor over the last 6 months, or the worst kept secret. Is Agnieszka Radwanska coming back? Is she trying to do a Kim Clijsters-esque come back to the tour? Because she keeps flirting, she keeps teasing like her playing tennis on social media, and you know, this is maybe the next step, some invitational doubles with Jelena Jankovic. Maybe we'll see, but very interesting stuff.
Yeah, I saw a bit of her sister the other day against Heather Watson at Eastbourne. Heather Watson able to get the win in the end. But yeah, perhaps Agnieszka will be making a return. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of Grand Slams as well, the US Open has also been in the news because they have announced that they will be allowing Russian and Belarusian players to compete. So Daniil Medvedev will be able to defend his US Open title. So we won't have this kind of ranking points debacle that we've had at Wimbledon, which is good. But one debacle we potentially may have is a vaccine debacle, a la Australian Open. Potentially, I say, because at the moment the USTA, at the moment the United States are not allowing unvaccinated people to enter the country. So as it stands, Djokovic will not be able to play. The USTA have said they will not be allowing any exemptions, so they don't obviously want what happened in Australia to occur. Obviously, there's still 2 months until the US Open gets underway, so the government may change their guidance between now and then, or perhaps Djokovic may get vaccinated. I don't know. But yeah, this isn't good news for Djokovic, I suppose, if he's not going to be able to compete to try and add to his Grand Slam tally. But still a long way to go. It may change.
I feel like it's going to change. I feel like I understand, and I think it's smart that they've announced this information now. I think we've seen how this can be handled poorly, with the Australian Open, and you can imagine the USTA being like, we don't want to be in a situation where Djokovic gets deported from the United States at border control. So then the fact that they've announced this in advance and they've not putting out any sort of controversial statement in terms of seeking an exemption, then I think, it's a smart move from them. I just ultimately do think that Djokovic will be there, but it will be because of the government changing their kind of decision making as opposed to the USTA. And there is obviously time for things to change, but I think it's good that they've sort of announced this now so that fans have that expectation, the media has that expectation, and hopefully, Kim, as I said, we're not going to get into a silly situation of Novak Djokovic taking a flight, putting an Instagram post up with his bags packed, and then being denied at passport control.
Yeah, we really don't need that farce all over again, do we? As entertaining as some people may have found it, it was all a bit of a disaster. But let's look ahead to it's all already underway. The last week of tournaments before Wimbledon, but let's just quickly cover what we have going on this week. We've got the Mallorca Championships, which is now men only, isn't it? I think since the last couple of years. Medvedev's the top seed there. He'll be hoping to finally get a win, I guess, under his belt. Tsitsipas second seed, Shapovalov and PCB also there. I mean, looking at the draw, I'd expect Medvedev to go deep, but he may have a Nick Kyrgios in the third round, which will be a an interesting
Kim,
match.
I thought you were going to say to me you were expecting Medvedev to get to another final and then lose and be runner up, which I could see. But yeah, Nick Kyrgios in the draw on a special exemption. Yeah, he's going to be quite dangerous, unseeded. I do enjoy whenever we record on a Monday evening, there are inevitably some results that have already happened.
Like Feliciano Lopez.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
I know. We talk about him way too much, given his current ranking, but he's already lost. So 2 tie breaks to Talon Griegspoor. Oh well, that was a shame.
And Stefanos Tsitsipas as well. He will quite like to go deep here, or at least get a few match wins. But yeah, he's got Botic van der Zandschulp, the other seed, near him. He got to the semis in Queens, so not going to be easy. And yeah, Shapovalov as well, another player who did really well at Wimbledon last year, but has been in a real foul run of form, it feels like at the moment. Put up an odd post on Twitter about women not being allowed into Queens, that people's eyebrow was raised at.
Well, I mean, apparently because Queens is a private members club, it is only men only, which I hadn't twigged that before. But then I think someone said that there are female members, so I don't really want to comment if I don't know the situation. However, I do think if it is only men only, then I agree with Shapovalov in the sense I don't think that's very fair. But yes, I think that did cause a bit of engagement on Twitter, shall we say. But we've also, got obviously Eastbourne happening. Cam Norrie is the top seed for the men. Jannik Sinner's second seed. And then we've got on the women's side, obviously it's a 500 for the women, 250 for the men. Badosa's the top seed for the men. Jabeur second seed. But I mean, there's so many top women in the women's draw. It's always a stacked field down at Eastbourne. And I mean, yeah, I literally no idea who's winning that, to be quite honest with you. Alison Risk's already out. Harriet Dart got a win today, which was good. But quite frankly, I think Jabeur, sorry, you said she's out of the singles. I think Coco Gauff could be or Haddad Maia. Will Haddad Maia make it 3 on the trot?
Yeah, very, very true. And, in the men's draw as well. I mean, you're speaking about Jannik Sinner. This week, Jannik Sinner, it came out that he's working with Darren Cahill. So they, I think, had their first sort of meeting time together in person this week. So that's an interesting partnership to see if that kind of continues. Some sad news, I think, that Seb Korda has pulled out of Wimbledon. I think he injured himself today. And as a result of that, he is out of Wimbledon, unfortunately. I mean, he announced himself, he got to the quarterfinals on his debut last season, or the 4th round, I forget. But yeah, sad to see that he won't be there. We do also, Kim, finally on the WTA side, have Bad Homburg. We always laugh when we hear that name, don't we? Because we're like, where is the good Homburg?
Where's the good good Homburg? And where is, I want to say Hamburg. It's really difficult to say. Bad Homburg, which is different to Hamburg. Yeah, Kasatkina's top seed there. Bencic won't be playing, I would assume, because of the injury. So I think she's been replaced with Korpatsch, who's a German player. Garcia got a win yesterday there already. So yeah, Simona Halep is there, which I think is slightly strange, having the fact that she's played Birmingham to then fly back over to Germany to then come back to anyway. I guess it depends where you can get in. Katie Swan doing quite well though. She qualified, didn't she, and beat Sloane Stephens in the first round. So good win for British hopes. Yeah, we'll be back, I guess, later on this week. Once the Wimbledon draw is out, we'll know a bit more about what's going on with the final round of warm-up tournaments as well, to kind of give some updates, although not the full update, I suppose, because the finals are usually on the Saturday, aren't they? We'll probably be recording Friday after the draw has been announced. So yeah, I'm waiting to see if Rafa's going to be there, waiting to see how his foot is, and also what side of the draw he's going to be in. And then I'll make my plans for next week.
Well, it's funny because just speaking about all those draws. Arguably, the most packed draw is at Hurlingham, which is an exhibition event in London that some of the top players play, and it sounds like it's got a bumper field this year with Nadal, Djokovic.
I think
Andy
Alcaraz
might be there. Alcaraz. Quite a few.
Raducanu, I think. I think Emma's playing as well.
So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how all the action unfolds this week. But yeah, as Kim said, we will be back on Friday for our Wimbledon draw preview. So listeners, I hope you've enjoyed listening to this tour catch up with Tennis Weekly. Remember to subscribe to us to stay up to date on all the action on the ATP and WTA tours on whatever device you listen to us on. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all good podcasting platforms out there. You can also listen to us on the downloadtennis.com app. And if you like what you're hearing, then make sure to leave us a rating and comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
And you can follow us on social media or email the show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Tennis Weekly Pod. Or if you prefer, you can email us tennisweeklypod@gmail.com. So do let us know if you've got any queries or feedback. We love to hear from everyone and all our lovely listeners. So do get in touch. And don't forget to check out our website as well, www.tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we will be back on Friday at Tennis Weekly HQ for our Wimbledon draw preview. So I hope you can join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.